your backend works perfectly until the browser blocks it because of it's not HTTPS. Ever wonder why Node.js API works locally but fails in production? The answer is SSL. Today in this lecture, we'll be going to set up our HTTPS and SSL certificate. So where right now you can see our EC2 instance is definitely we can just like access this instance using this public IP address. That is a kind of Elastic IP we have added in our previous lecture. So if you go open this address, you can see this is not accessible with the help of HTTPS, right? So while your backend services are exposed to the front end, then definitely it should not supposed to be HTTP. It always has to be secure. So your data or your transaction or any kind of like API request, it has to be always protected. So let's try to make sure like this is right now it's running on HTTP, but to make it like HTTPS, what we need to do, we need to install a couple of libraries and we need to make sure like our IP address is exactly it's enticed with one kind of domain name, right? In this case, AWS already has domain management system that is called exactly Route 53. So what Route 53 exactly it is doing? So Route 53 is handling all of the domain management system in terms of like where you can manage your DNS, right? And you can register your domain right here. So if you want to register a kind of very cheap domain or maybe something like that, then definitely you can go register domain right here. And here, like here, you can click it right there and you can check it here, right? So this way you can get it like what are the domain names are available. This is right now it is coming at approximately $3 right? So check this domain name also in our domain registration portal where maybe you can get it in cheaper price. So if you are going to register this domain name right here, this is well and good, then the process will be smoother. But if you don't want to use the AWS domain registration system, then you can source it in the Namecheap. As an example, namecheap.com. So if you go to Namecheap right here in the domains, right, register domain, then here also you can search for this domain name. As an example, click, right? Let's try to source it, like how much price exactly it is coming right here. Right. So you can see like it is coming like around 1.55 euros per year, right? So which is pretty cheap, right? And maybe you can search for any other domain name also, which is going to become for very in terms of like nominal price. You can see this is exactly it's very cheaper, right? So like that you can just register any domain name in any provider, but while we are going to use that domain name in Route 53, what you need to do, you need to go to Route 53 again and go to hosted zone, and here just like create a kind of hosted zone right here. As an example, any hosted zone you can utilize right there. As an example, test deployment.com, let's say, right? So if I'm going to use this hosted zone, create this hosted zone. So this hosted zone will going to create a kind of like record for you, right? Just like let's try to close everything right there. And if you see here in the hosted zone details, so this is the exact domain name that is you have registered in other service. Make sure you are using that domain name right there, right? While you are creating the hosted zone, then you'll be going to get this name servers. So these are the name servers you need to update on your service provider. As an example, let's go to there, right? So this is exactly namecheap.com where I have registered a couple of domains right there. So usually I'm using Namecheap just for testing purpose or maybe blocking some domain just for my uses or internal uses. Or often I'm using this Namecheap also for customers like whoever they like to support like from my side. So I'm always helping them to create like that. So you can see like this domain name. If you go here in the namecheap.com, you click on the domain list, right? Then you can have like the custom domain, custom DSN. So if you click on the custom DSN, then you can add it right there. Like you add one by one all of this the domain name servers right there. You can add a kind of new name server by clicking like this way. All these entries you can get it from here, right? From this name server. You just like add all of this name server, boom, we're done, right? So this is the way we can create hosted zone. So now your domain name that is registered outside of the AWS also still you can use in AWS portal, right? So now what we are going to do, let's try to delete this one. This is not being used at all, right? So I'm gonna delete this one, right? Delete. Perfect. So this is deleted. So now I'm going to use this codewithjay IO. So let's go ahead to the codewithjay IO, right? And here, what we are going to do to install our SSL certificate, let's try to create a new record. So how record is going to be work? So record is in terms of like this is pointed to some AWS resources. So as an example, right now codewithjay IO, it's not pointing to anything, right? So let's try to create a kind of simple routing, all right? So this is what exactly we can do, right? And let's go to create to new. Maybe your interface will be going to be a different one, right, than me. Then you can just like switch to quick create also. This is the way also you can create the stuff right there, right? Then you can just like click to switch to user. So any one of the view maybe you will get in your machine or in your interface. So now let's go ahead, click on next, right? So here we are going to click on the define simple record. So in the define simple record, you can see the subdomain you need to add and the main domain will go right there. So we are going to use, let's say, API, right? API.codewithjay.io. So now, because this is a kind of backend server, that's why we are going to use the API. But the codewithjay.io, it's going to be, we will be going to use in our front end, let's say, right? Now, this record type will be always going to be a record, right? And here you can see we are going to use some sort of IP address. That is what exactly we need to pick it up from here. Let's go to the public IP address for, right, IPv4 address. Copy this one and go to our Route 50T and add this one right here. Right. So you can select the endpoint also, but this is definitely we are not required because we are not using any kind of API gateway or aliases right now. Maybe in the later stage we are going to use all of the stuff when we will be deploy our application on Kubernetes. So now let's try to keep it like for just 1 hour, right, time, right? So time to live. So maybe if it is going to take a little bit more time for maybe propagate, then this is really going to be safer. So now define this simple record right there, right? So our record is created there. So now let's go ahead here. Just copy this one, right? This record from here. Now let's go to our terminal. Right? So in here in the terminal, we'll be going to use the Certbot. So Certbot is a kind of free SSL certificate provider, but only thing we need to configure your renewal properly, right? So let's try to do that one. So now what we are going to do, we'll be going to type sudo, right? Sudo apt install, and that's y. You can say that's y, yes. Then Certbot, bot, Certbot. But Certbot is not going to be installed without Python. So let's try to install Python. Python 3. That's Certbot, that's Nginx, because we are going to use the Nginx also as a kind of reverse proxy, right? So definitely this is not sudo, this is sudo. This is sudo. Okay, perfect. So you can see the installation is started right now, right? So this is the time where we will be going to create our SSL certificate. So in this case, let's try to go ahead and type one more command right there. We are going to say sudo certbot, that's Nginx, then that's D, right? Then we are going to domain name what we are going to provide. We'll be going to provide our api.codewithjay.io, right? Perfect. So it is going to be asked a couple of questions. So here for the renewal, we need to provide a kind of email. So I'm going to say j@.com, right? Then this is going to ask a couple of questions like, accepting the licenses and everything. So I'm going to say yes. Let's go ahead and yes, I would like to comply all of the rules, and I would like to receive any kind of communications in moving ahead. Let's go ahead with this one. Yes, right? Then this is going to be requesting our certificate for our system. Then it's what it exactly is saying. It says like in the Nginx proxy authenticated same domain, right? It seems like we have a kind of issue with our certificate. So what we are going to do, let's try to debug it right now. So let's go ahead here. Maybe this one, we have not created the record. So we just added right there, but we have not created the record. Let's try to hit the create record there. So it's going to take a couple of minutes maybe. Let's try to check the review status here also. Right? So this is pending. Just wait for maybe a couple of seconds or minutes. Perfect. So now you can see status is in sync, right? Let's go there in the terminal once again, and we'll be going to hit the same command once again. So this time it will not going to ask any kind of questions because already we have been answered right there. Perfect. So can you see now this time, the second time, this is installed successfully. So what exactly this is explaining? So our certificate will be expired on that particular date, right? So let's try to make sure it is going to be renew automatically. So in this case, let's try to simulate our dry run. So it can be triggered at a schedule on the time. So let's go ahead and sudo. You can say certbot renew renew dash dry run, dry run. Perfect. So now we can see the simulation is done, right? So simulating renewal and existing certificate of api.codewithjay.com is registered. So now our HTTPS configuration is done. So now let's go to the browser and check it out, like whether we are able to access this endpoint perfectly or not, right? So let's try to copy this one here, and let's go here and try to paste enter here. Then now you can see it is responding. So if you go here, right, so you can see the connection is secure. So what exactly it is right there? Its certificate is valid, right? So if you see in the URL, you can see HTTPS API.codewithjay.io is live right now. So now in the next lecture, what we're going to do, we'll be going to set up our GitHub repository, and we will write a couple of scripts right there for complying our CI/CD pipeline. Then definitely you can see, like, our backend API will be going to be deployed correctly right there, right? Then we'll be going to put our hands on the front end to connect with our backend API. So right now our API is successful right there, right? So this is the way our front end and backend will be communicated with the help of, like, in the secure umbrella. So this is the way our front end and back end going to be communicate with each other with a kind of secure channel, right? This is a full flash of the production-ready deployment series in our online learning platform. So if you wish to learn more about this kind of practical-driven, completely hands-on type of, like, tutorial or courses, please come to our online learning platform codewithjay.com, where you can get this kind of whole course in a kind of reasonable price right there, right? So I believe this particular course will be going to boost your deployment skill while you are pursuing your next level of your career. I would like to see you right there. Thank you.